In the near future, the mining ship Borealis drifts through space, its crew asleep in cryopods with years still left in their journey. Then, disaster. An asteroid slams into the hull, alarms blaring as pods begin to eject. Inside one, Andy jolts awake to a flickering video of his family back on Earth. The ship's AI warns of a breach as mechanical arms snap a survival suit around him, complete with limited oxygen and its own AI. Moments later, his pod is launched into the void. Some pods escape. Others are caught in fire, torn apart by explosions. Andy's pod fights to stay intact, but gravity from a nearby planet pulls it down fast. Wings snap, thrusters fail, and it slams into rocky terrain before skidding to a brutal stop. Unconscious, Andy sees a vision of his family, then wakes in panic as the AI mistakes his stress for a heart attack. He shuts off the defibrillator just in time. Through the window, nothing but a barren wasteland. The radio stays silent. The AI warns the ground beneath him is unstable. Andy tries to open the hatch, but it won't budge. His survival kit is missing a flare gun, too low a rank. Desperate, he smashes the glass with a fire extinguisher, but the pod tips and he tumbles back inside, tearing his suit. Oxygen leaks fast until a repair spray seals the breach. Then sparks ignite a fire behind him. Andy grabs his son's toy and claws his way out as smoke fills the pod. Outside, he watches the Borealis itself plummet from orbit, erupting in a colossal explosion that sends a shockwave knocking him to the ground. Shaken, he demands answers from the AI. The ship only made it halfway, and he's stranded on unmapped land. In the distance, a faint light beckons. Andy heads toward it, calling into the radio as he walks. He stumbles upon the wreck of the ship, flames licking through twisted metal. A pod nearby still holds an oxygen tank, but when he grabs it, a body suddenly drops beside him. The tank's broken, useless. He doesn't notice the slashes and blood smeared across the pod. Minutes later, Andy reaches a cluster of SOS lights, whipping violently in the howling wind. Dwayne has already set up camp, scavenging equipment, and even considering the unthinkable, using bodies for food. Before the crash, he managed to check the nav log and learned the truth. The company cut through an asteroid belt to save fuel, leaving them stranded in uncharted space. With what little gear he has, Dwayne tries to send an SOS to Earth. The message will take 8 months to arrive, and even with a fast ship, rescue is at least 2 years away. Andy's hope falters, but Dwayne insists survival might lie in the other half of the Borealis. As Andy turns to fix a cable, he accidentally unplugged. A shadow leaps into the pod. A monstrous creature snatches Dwayne and vanishes without a trace. When Andy looks back, he's alone. Shaken, he finishes sending the SOS, takes Dwayne's gun, and the AI warns his oxygen is running low. With no choice, Andy sets a course for the largest wreckage of the Borealis. The trek is brutal. He checks his radio constantly, desperate for voices. At a cliff's edge, the AI falters, admitting its systems are failing. Overcome with frustration, Andy screams into the void, only to hear a faint reply. Another survivor, Naomi. Her signal cuts with static, but Andy runs until her voice clears. She's trapped in her pod, and after scanning the crew's trackers, she delivers grim news. Only 3 remain alive. Her, Andy, and Dwayne. She shares her location, but the AI warns the ground there is unstable, and Andy's oxygen might not last. Naomi urges him on, promising she has enough air for both. For hours, Andy trudges through the wasteland, his only comfort, Naomi's voice in his ear. Night falls. His helmet light is weak, shadows stretch long, and when rocks tumble near his feet, he freezes. He tells himself it's nothing. But unseen eyes are watching. Strange holes in the ground lead him to a massive pit tangled in cobweb. Panic surges as he realizes the smaller holes were paw prints. Snow begins to fall. The noises grow deeper, closer, until something enormous moves in the darkness. Andy douses his light and hides. Naomi gasps. Her scanner shows dozens of crew trackers closing in on him. Andy links to them, but no one responds. Suddenly a flare bursts above, bathing the terrain in light, and there it is, an enormous spider. The trackers are inside it, swallowed with the crew. Andy pulls Dwayne's gun, but it jams. He screams and bolts as the spider lunges. The ground splits beneath him and he falls into a deep crack. Looking up, he sees claws scraping down, the monster trying to drag him out. Terrified, Andy runs, the creature skittering overhead, slashing down at him through the fissure. Andy dodges every slash, but in the chaos he slips off the cliff. He tumbles hard, rolling down the slope until snow cushions his fall. Bruised and gasping, he looks up. The spider roars from above, but doesn't follow. Shaken, Andy hears Naomi cut in. His oxygen is dropping. The fall tore his suit again. With his last can of sealant, he patches it, but now he has nothing left. Suddenly, Dwayne's voice crackles through the radio. He's alive, begging for help, as he battles spiders. Naomi urges Andy to go. At first he refuses. His scanner barely works, and he doesn't want to face more monsters. But when Naomi reminds him Dwayne still has oxygen, Andy pushes forward. He races through the wreckage, following flares until he spots Dwayne. Just as Dwayne is about to reveal the creature's weakness, the spider lunges. Andy ducks into hiding, forced to listen as the radio fills with Dwayne's screams. Then silence. Panicked, Andy darts behind another pod, only to freeze. A second spider is nearby, feeding on bodies. Naomi quickly hacks into the pods, lighting one up as a distraction. The monster turns, giving Andy a chance to hide. But she slips, accidentally activating Andy's pod. He's startled by the corpse inside until, thankfully, she triggers the rest. With every pod glowing, both spiders are lured away, giving Andy his chance to escape. The relief doesn't last. The creatures realize the trick and chase him, but stop dead when he stumbles into a thick fog. They vanish back into the shadows. Andy tells Naomi to find safety too, but she admits she can't feel her legs. Panic overtakes her, until Andy gently sings the lullaby he once sang to his son, calming her breath. Then he moves on, coming across a breathtaking sight, swarms of fireflies glowing in the dark. The beauty turns sinister. One lands on his helmet, glowing red before attacking. Soon the swarm shifts, pelting him in waves. He runs, barely escaping, until a deep growl reveals why they fled. The ground splits open. A massive mouth erupts beneath him, snapping shut and coating Andy in a thick, paralyzing slime. The beast drags him down, swallowing him inch by inch. Desperate, Andy triggers his AI, declaring a heart attack. The defibrillator shocks his body with a violent surge, and the monster convulses, spitting him back out. The monster lashes out, forcing Andy to sprint into what looks like a hollow tree. But the ground collapses, dropping him straight into a nest of fireflies. Their glow turns red as they swarm, stabbing at his suit until he claws his way out of the tunnel. Catching his breath, Andy hears the AI's warning. He has just enough oxygen to reach the Borealis, but not Naomi. Even she urges him to go to the ship. Andy refuses. He won't abandon her. Flames from the crash surround him, smoke choking his lungs. He stumbles, nearly collapsing, but sheer will pushes him forward until he finally finds Naomi trapped in her pod. She opens the hatch, letting him breathe again. Her leg is pinned, and Andy's strength isn't enough. Luckily, her higher rank means her kit is stocked. With her tools, he frees her, painful but not broken. After a quick rest, they grab a flare gun and repair spray, then press on together. Walking is agony for Naomi, so Andy builds a splint to steady her. She arms herself with Dwayne's gun while the shadows close in. Soon a swarm of spiders emerges, forcing them to run. Naomi's suit pumps her with medicine just to keep her moving. The wreckage of the other half of the Borealis rises ahead. They sprint toward it as spiders close in, pushing debris behind them to slow the chase. When one lunges, Naomi fires a flare, drawing it away. Another shot buys them more time. They scramble up the hill and slip inside the ship just as the creatures descend. Naomi fumbles with the controls while one spider forces its way in, but at the last second the door slams shut, crushing it. The others hammer against the hull as the pair move deeper inside. The lights still glow. The backup generator is intact. Supplies are stacked in the cargo hold, the air stable. At last, a place they might survive. But relief fades fast. In a corridor, a blood trail glistens. They follow it to the main console, smeared with gore and thick with cobwebs. Hiding in the shadows, Andy and Naomi watch as a spider lumbers in, splitting open its stomach to spill human remains, helmets, limbs, scraps of uniforms. Andy swallows back nausea, forcing himself not to break. The beast leaves, and relief comes too soon. From above, a hatch opens, and an even larger monster drops down. Andy slams the nearest door shut, only for Naomi to snap at him. They're trapped in an airlock. One spider pounds the right door, while Andy beats the left with a tool. Nothing works. Out of options, they sit, waiting for the end. Andy plays a video of his family, confessing the truth. They died in a car crash he caused. Survivor's guilt has haunted him ever since. Naomi cuts him off, reminding him she's alive because of him. They hold each other, bracing for death, until Naomi notices an orb of fireflies clinging to Andy's suit. When the spider bursts through, they hurl the orb. The swarm erupts, swarming the creature and driving it back. In the chaos, they slam the panel and open the opposite door, sprinting into the cargo bay, only to realize they're stranded on a high platform. The spider shakes off the fireflies and charges. With no time to close the hatch, Andy and Naomi leap. They crash to the ground as the beast lands behind them, recovering instantly. Andy hurls his last spray into its mouth. Boom! It explodes in the creature's face, buying them seconds. The monster scrambles onto the ceiling, crawling fast. It drops behind them, knocking both down. Naomi staggers up, shouting for Andy to find a way to kill it while she lures it away. Desperate, Andy spots rows of cryopods. The AI scans for one still functional, at the very top. Andy climbs, racing the monster's pursuit. Below, Naomi is struck hard, but manages to crawl into a supply box. Inside, she finds emergency lights and straps them to her body, drawing the creature toward her. At the top platform, Andy reaches the pod and powers it manually, knowing he has to eject it from inside. He links the AI, takes one last look at his son's toy, and whispers goodbye. Memories of the car crash flash before him as the pod slams down, crushing the spider beneath in a thunderous impact. Naomi rushes to the wreck, sobbing over Andy's still body, pleading for him to wake. After a long silence, he stirs, alive. Exhausted and trembling, they walk to the window together. Holding hands, they watch the first light of sunrise spill across the alien sky.